Okay. Okay, this feels a little bit better. It is a little dark in here. Um, Welcome everyone. My name is Alissa. I am a conscious evolution coach for creative nonconformists. Um, and I want to talk to you about a couple things about asking for what we want. And I am using this book called The Aladdin Factor. This book is a beautiful book that I actually started live streaming for the first time when Facebook put that as an option. I believe back in the beginning of 2016, I used this book as my first point of inspiration. And so I'm back using this again, sort of like as a beginning to a live streaming in on YouTube. So my message for you today is all about why we don't ask for what we want. So there are 5 barriers, according to this book, about reasons why we don't ask for what we want. And I'm going to cover just 2 of them today because there's so much content to get into. So stay tuned if you want to hear about more of them, because I'm going to continue to do episodes about with this book. So barrier number 1. The main reasons we don't ask for what we want are ignorance. Is ignorance. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, that can look like we just don't know what we want, right? Like we just don't even ask ourselves. Like we might not have paused for a while and said, like, what do I want? Also, we don't know what is available and what is possible. So there's a beautiful quote that I'm going to use from Kyle Cease. He's a comedian, and he sort of crossed over into like spirituality, self-help stuff in the last several years. But he may be quoting someone else as well from this, but I remember hearing him say, our minds can measure what we will lose, and our minds cannot measure what we can gain, because our brains, more accurately, because our brains are sort of systematically trying to prevent us from dying and are going to be in that sort of survival mode. And they're great for computing things, and our brains are great for so many things, right? But as far as stepping out of our comfort zone and to follow our hearts and really pursue our passions, our brains aren't so great for that endeavor. And for asking what we want, it can definitely feel like a push out of our comfort zone. And so our minds can measure what we may lose. However, they cannot measure what we may gain. So stepping into that unknown territory can be absolutely terrifying. And we just don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know how to ask is another reason that falls under ignorance. So most of us never received any modeling or instruction in clear and straightforward asking at home. Most schools don't offer courses in communication skills that teach us how to make effective requests. What most of us did see over and over was nagging, whining, bitching, moaning, and complaining. We saw innuendos, hints, and vague requests, but very rarely the straightforward communication of needs, wants, and desires. If we never saw these skills demonstrated, it is very hard to learn and integrate them into our lives. So, yeah, that's just an excerpt from the Aladdin Factor, and elaborating on like why we don't ask, right? And then the second reason that I'm going to give you today of why we don't ask for what we want. And before I get into that second reason, I just want to say that this book is so powerful that if you stay with me through these episodes and just really contemplate this content and start acting on it and diving into it and practicing it, your life is going to change, because there is so much magic in the asking for what we want, and not just asking, one time or 2 times. It's in the practice, in this art of asking for what we want. So will open up and continue to open. And I'm excited to see what happens. And I would love to hear, with comments, what happens for you in the practice of asking and what your insights are. So, reason number 2 on why we don't ask for what we want. One of the second barrier. Can anyone guess? I'm sure you could think of some things. Limiting and inaccurate beliefs. So this second barrier is really like just the programming that we all have, right? Like from school, from our parents, caregivers, churches, society in general. Like we all came into this world a blank slate, and we just, from the time that we're born until about 7 years old, our brain is just developing its own lexicon and construct of the world around us, and we're sort of just soaking everything in like a sponge, and it becomes our sort of paradigm. And that paradigm is heavily influenced by all of the programming conditioning, right? So this book goes into all the ways that we can be programmed in detail, in depth, how with examples from parents, from major media, from religious training, even by the medical field when we go in to see a doctor or something. So here's just a few common limiting beliefs. Okay, do you resonate with this? Do you identify with these? Let's find a good one here. My success will deprive someone else. A limiting belief, right? This one is huge, and I love this one because the idea that if you are shining, that you're somehow going to take away from someone else is bullshit. And I just have to call that out because so many of us have this deeply ingrained, internalized belief about this, that how dare I, like, who am I to be all that I am when, this other person is struggling or whatever, right? Like there's always going to be an incredible dynamic spectrum of the human experience that everyone's going through simultaneously, and we're all feeling different things. And it's like, you get to be you. You can be you. You can shine bright. You can express yourself. And I don't mean this like it's easy, okay? I get it. I get it. Oftentimes, it's one of the hardest things that we are struggling really to do. But make no mistake, it will not take away from anyone else. It's not like a pie. That's the metaphor I like to use. It's sort of like an anti-pie, because it's like, by you shining, you're not like taking a piece of this pie and like now there's not enough for other people. You're actually like adding another pie on top. You're like, here, there's more. When you are asking, you're modeling a behavior that I think is it could be infectious to other people, right? And maybe inspiring. So most of us believe that there's not enough time, money, food, or attention to go around. We believe that our getting what we want somehow deprives others of getting what they need. We assume that if we want something and we get it, there will be less available for someone. So, yeah, I think I've elaborated on that enough, but let's give one more excerpt from the book. So I can remember the exact moment in my life when I realized I had the ability to envision things, ask for them, and get them. I was about 15, and I said to myself, if I can have anything I ask for. And it frightened me because I had been told that you had to be very careful about what you ask for because you might get it. And it might really make you unhappy. From that moment on, I was very afraid to ask for things because I had realized I was able to ask for what I wanted. And I was afraid that maybe I would ask for something and I would get it and be terribly, terribly unhappy. This is from Kay Wahlberger. I'm not sure who this person is. But yeah, so I would love to know your experience in the comments below, what you think about this whole idea of the simple concept of asking, yet so challenging for so many of us. And I just find this book, The Aladdin Factor by Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, to be absolutely revolutionary, not in the concept, but in the way that they break down this principle of asking, the way that they organize this book in so many anecdotal pieces and bits of inspiration, quotes, and also the barriers to asking, and really show you the magic and the beauty of asking, all interlaced with the story of Aladdin and his lamp. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. Please subscribe if you liked this message, if you're not already subscribed, or like my video, please. And I can't wait to talk to you more about the Aladdin Factor and asking. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.